Kochie's Business Builders is proudly brought to you by our partners Peugeot and APCO, who are helping small businesses grow.
On Kochie's Business Builders, how adopting sustainable packaging can revolutionise your business. We get a lesson from Erin Holland on how to manage and build your brand, and tips and tricks to converting those online window shoppers into buyers. Welcome back to another episode of Kochie's Business Builders. Great to have your company. Now, a lot of brands and businesses are shifting to sustainable packaging. Yes, it's great for the environment, but it's also great for the bottom line in terms of sales, customer loyalty and profits. Meet Modern Dental and the path they took to sustainable packaging.
Hi James, how about you tell us a little bit about yourself and the work that you do here at Modern Dental Pacific?
We're the leading dental laboratory group in Australia. We work with dentists across the country and we provide them with custom-made medical devices. That means things such as dental crowns, dentures, splints or mouth guards. So really anything that a dentist needs to have custom-made for a specific patient, they'll send that work to us for us to make it for them.
James, what role does packaging play in the products and services that you supply?
It's a really important part. Obviously, the products that we are supplying need to be placed into a patient's mouth. They need to be kept safe and secure as we're sending them to the dentist. So we're using a range of cardboard boxes, plastics, foams, and working with a range of suppliers to find packaging components that are fit for purpose.
So what was the catalyst for Modern Dental in terms of taking on the packaging sustainability journey?
It's important that a business is in tune with what our customers want and what community and society wants. It's clear that issues around sustainability and recycling are increasingly important to the whole community, and I think it's important for us as a business to help lead that change. We want to be a catalyst for that change. We don't want to be following everybody else, and I think it helps us to create relationships with suppliers that have a similar mindset and a similar attitude.
Do you feel that APCO's helped you in that process?
Absolutely. It's easy for a business to be quite lazy about these sorts of issues. You can talk the talk, but really sometimes you need something that makes you deliver. And I think that APCO really helps us with that.
What's been the outcome of your packaging sustainability journey since you joined APCO?
I think the key thing for us, it's really helped to put sustainability at the heart of all of our business decision-making. We need to submit to you an action plan every year. We submit our actual results, and we have to publish those on the website. So it takes it from being something that we can talk about but not necessarily deliver to something where we have to be held accountable for what we promise.
Something tangible for your suppliers, for your business, for your customers, that sort of benefit that comes from that sort of thing?
Absolutely. So we've seen a big reduction in the amount of packaging that we generate, and that's been in line with the targets that we've set for ourselves. We've revisited nearly all of the different components of packaging that we used and either changed the suppliers or changed the types of products that we're buying and using. So there's a very tangible benefits that we've seen already.
And have you found that's really inspired people internally? We see that when it's a cultural thing, it makes a difference. Is that the case here?
Absolutely. These concerns around sustainability, it's not just a business issue, it's a whole of society thing. Our staff members, our customers, their customers, they all care about these sorts of issues. And I think the APCO journey just helps us to sort of involve people and really engage in broader conversations other than just what are we going to sell you and how much are we going to sell it to you for. A lot of these things can add operating cost to the business. Sometimes it's a cost saving, but sometimes it's an investment that we need to make. We do it though because we think it's the right thing to do, and we think that we're addressing a need that society and our customers have.
My name is Graham Kerr. I'm the founder of Woolstar. We are celebrating our 25th year in manufacturing in Australia. Back in the 80s and the 90s, most large manufacturers were moving their operation offshore. I wanted to produce an Australian-made product. I leased a small warehouse in Ingleburn, and that was the start of our manufacturing operation. The three key points I've learned in business over the last 25 years is that you must have passion. You must have commitment, and you need a little bit of luck along the way. We've made some unbelievable associations over the years, and we find that our suppliers have been most helpful in making our business grow internationally. I have an unbelievable workforce, and I thank them very much for their efforts over the years. Going forward into the future, I'm quite excited about where we're going and the products that we're going to produce.
Stay tuned. After the break, Jane Paramore, Sustainability Partnership Manager with APCO, shares how your business can take its first step towards sustainable practices with packaging. James Squirrel from Modern Dental understandably gets asked a lot of questions from peers about APCO and sustainable packaging. Today, he's posing those questions to Jane from APCO so she can answer in her own words.
So tell us, what does APCO stand for and what does APCO do?
James, APCO stands for the Australian Packaging Covenant Organisation. We are a not-for-profit organisation established under a piece of government regulation that is responsible for driving packaging sustainability in the Australian marketplace. So we work with everybody along the packaging value chain.
And what sort of changes can a business make to improve the sustainability of their packaging?
There are lots of things that businesses can do, and APCO tries to support our members very much in achieving those sorts of objectives. We feel that you need to start at the beginning and have a look at what your packaging is. We want to work closely with small businesses so that we can help them understand what their obligations are in an APCO context, but also understand what that packaging sustainability journey looks like.
So, Jane, what are the benefits that a business can see from joining APCO?
There are a number along the packaging value chain can support businesses with. APCO is a one-stop shop. We provide all the tools necessary to meet those compliance obligations. We've also got a number of other programs such as the Australasian Recycling Label, which allows businesses not only to understand what they're putting into the system, but also to label it so that consumers know what to do with it at the end of the pipe.
I think that's something we've found as well. It's not just about what we do, but APCO helps us to connect to industry bodies and other corporate entities where we can kind of form partnerships and work together.
I think that's one of the nice things about APCO. We are an organisation that is effectively quite agnostic. We sit in a place where, as a not-for-profit, all we want to do is drive a sustainable packaging agenda. We want to talk to anybody who's interested in this issue and trying to address some of these challenges. So we try and share that information and knowledge as far and wide as we possibly can. But certainly you described some of those member benefits very clearly. I think ultimately there are lots of economic benefits that we're starting to see, and I think you articulated that earlier when you were talking about the savings that you as a business have made. We're seeing that a lot with things like packaging lightweighting and reduction of materials and elimination of unnecessary elements and components in packaging. I think also there's a hugely strong impetus out there from the consumer driving a lot of these agendas, and people that are conscious of the changes that are being made are becoming loyal to those brands that are actually pursuing these agendas strongly and positively. So I think ultimately packaging sustainability is not just good for the environment, it's really good for business.
Hi, my name is Nicola Moras. And one of the big questions that I get asked by small business owners almost literally every day are what are the main apps that I should be on and how should they be used? The first app that you have to be on is Facebook. Now, there are more than 2.4 billion daily active users on that platform. It is something that you cannot ignore. You need to have a business page and you need to be posting regularly. The second thing that you need to have in place is Instagram or LinkedIn. If you're a business to consumer business, then you probably want to be more on Instagram. And if you are business to business, you might choose to spend a bit more time on LinkedIn. The main thing that you have to have though, no matter what platform you're being on, is you need to have a phone that has a really great camera in it. Now, this can be used for taking photos of your normal everyday life. This can be used for filming short, quick videos, instruction videos, lifestyle videos to help your audience get to know you. So the three big things that you need to have in place are Facebook, Instagram and or LinkedIn, and your phone.
Look, those are fantastic tech tips from Nicola Morass. If you want to learn even more from Nicola, sign up for our Business Booster online course, a free course to help you supercharge your sales and marketing. Sign up on kochiesbusinessbuilders.com.au. Well, now it's time to meet and get some great tips from this week's Entrepreneur in the Spotlight.
My name's Simon Hill. I'm the host of the Plant Proof podcast. I just wrote my first book. It's called The Proof is in the Plants. And I own a restaurant with my partner, Tanya, in Bondi called Eat in Bondi. I started Plant Proof, my podcast, in 2018. I felt that I had a message around agenda-free nutrition that I wanted to share. You know, each week I'm sitting down with someone new, be it a scientist or a doctor or a nutritionist or a dietitian, or someone who has overcome chronic disease themselves and taken back power of their life and their health. The show since then has gone from a little bit of a passion project and a hobby to very much a full-time gig now. The seed for the podcast really goes back to when I was 15 years old, and I witnessed my dad having a heart attack in front of me. I was the only one with him. I saw what loss of health looks like for the first time, and then fast forward 10, 15 years later, when I better understood the science, nutrition science in particular, and how much more control we actually have over our health fate, I was very inspired to share that information with as many people as possible. Dad is fortunately doing fantastic today. He's very lucky. He got a second chance at life, and many people in his position do not, which again is one of the reasons why I'm so inspired to do what I'm doing today. My book, The Proof is in the Plants, is an extension of all of the conversations I've had on the podcast, and really is just another channel, another way that I can share the information that I've unearthed. It's really pleasing to see it was the #1 non-fiction book in Australia in its first week, which is fantastic. It means that the mainstream market are looking for this information, which is great to hear after 3 and a bit years of writing it. Yeah, I think anyone who has written a book will tell you there are ups and downs with the writing process. Sometimes it feels like there's more downs. I'd be lying if I said there weren't some long days in there, and some days it was flowing and other days it wasn't. So I started Eat in Bondi in 2019 with my partner Tanya, really because we felt there just wasn't enough plant-based food available, and we were always ordering from the same 1 or 2 places, and we felt that what better way to inspire people to eat more plants than just to serve really delicious food that happens to be plant-based. And so it's not a restaurant that screams vegan or is really talking to the exclusion of animal products at all. We're just about good food. We happen to be plant-based. Our chefs have come from a completely different background, but they've been reinvigorated and inspired now because, of course, our menu offered some challenges for them. And so, we couldn't be happier with the restaurant, and perhaps we might set up a second location at some time. If we look at the standard Australian diet today, we're falling short in a number of areas, and that is why we're seeing these chronic diseases like cardiovascular disease and type 2 diabetes and obesity so pervasive. And these diseases are robbing us of quality of life, and it doesn't have to be that way.
Hi everyone, my name is Erin Holland and I've worked in the entertainment industry for about 9 years now. And the best bit of advice that I could give anyone is know what your end goal is. Now, it's not to say that doesn't change along the way, but knowing what you want to do ultimately helps you make decisions throughout the journey. And sometimes something might seem like, oh, it's a great idea, it's a lot of money, but it's not actually right for who you are as a brand. And knowing when to say no is just as important as knowing when to say yes. And that can be really hard when you are the brand because you can't get perspective when it's yourself, and things are obviously really emotional. But if If you always know where you want to be for that end goal, it helps you make those decisions and keeps you on the right path of achieving that goal.
After the break, we look at the rise of online shopping and how to successfully convert visitors to buyers. We also answer this week's Ask Kochie, how to increase your customer conversion rate. Now, according to new research, the growth in online shopping is underscoring the importance of digital skills for every retail business. Joining me to discuss the research, Duncan McGrath, Head of Small Business Marketing at Google. Duncan, good to see you again. Was the COVID shift to digital and online shopping just a flash in the pan?
Certainly not, so it's great to be here, Kochie. We've seen research from Australia Post earlier in the year that 82% of Australian households today are shopping online, more than ever before. This new research from Ipsos tells us that they're also shopping more frequently than ever before, and they're spending more time online researching those purchase decisions, regardless of whether they ultimately buy online or offline.
Okay, so tell us about the habits and expectations of those online shoppers.
Australians have now learnt how to shop online. The last 12 months or 18 months have taught Australians how to do this and that they can depend on that. So we've seen explosions in e-commerce transactions in categories that previously were never online at all. Sofas are being bought online, groceries are being done online in record numbers. So we definitely expect this to continue, and we're seeing that already. As the lockdowns have ended, that consumer behaviour of buying online and researching online has stayed at record levels.
The more you use it, the more you're demanding particular sites actually perform for you. That puts pressure on small businesses who are thinking, oh, I've got to get into digital. You've got to do it right.
You do. The good news today is that there's so many free digital skills training platforms available for you to learn the skills from the very, very basic up to the much more advanced.
Okay, where do you start?
Look, I think the first thing to do is take a look at your actual platform where you're sending all your traffic to. So for most businesses, that's their website. Take a look at the analytics on your website, which is free for every business to do, and pay particular attention to where are people dropping out in the online booking process or the shopping cart process, because small tweaks in that user experience can have a massive change in the return investment you might be seeing. Deloitte research has found that those businesses who are digitally engaged are 2 times more likely to be growing revenue than those that aren't. So the upside is definitely there, and in the kinds of climate we're all living in at the moment, I think today it's more about business resilience than just about a sort of future-proofing. The future is here, so it's about how do you make those investments today.
Yeah. And if you don't, you put your business at risk. It's as simple as that. Duncan, great to see you. Terrific tips.
Likewise.
This week on Ask Kochie, how do you turn an online window shopper into a paying customer?
Hi, my name is Priyanka, and I'm a budding entrepreneur living in Sydney. I own an online e-commerce store called Silver Turtle. I sell eco-friendly products online. I do get a lot of visitors on a daily basis to my store. What I've noticed is that visitors come in and they browse products and they add them to their checkout cart, but they do not follow through the checkout process. So my question really is, how do I reduce abandoned checkouts?
Abandoned digital shopping carts. It's a great question. To help weigh in on this, we're joined by our digital growth guru, Nick Brogden. Nick, good to see you.
Thanks, man.
Now, how common is it for people to abandon their digital shopping cart?
Well, it's actually extremely common for abandoned carts to happen.
So don't feel bad.
No, it's probably more common to, well, actually it's factually way more common for people to abandon cart than to actually complete the conversion. So the trick on that is to sort of work out how can we make people convert better.
Right. So how do you do that?
There's a tactic in digital marketing we call CRO, which is conversion rate optimization. Now, conversion rate optimization is the process of looking at what's actually happening when someone is making a purchase and look for roadblocks. What can slow them down? What could entice them to buy more? So for instance, say the images of the silver turtles were not quite as polished as they could be, or they didn't do maybe a rotation of so you could see all angles, then people aren't totally sold on the purchase.
And in your analytics, can you find out what's stopping them? What stage of the process? Because I suppose it's the images, or if they like the images and say buy, then it's the freight bit of it, or...?
It can and can't, depending on how you've structured it, but it can be quite complicated to set it up to monitor a form. So you can use tools that actually record the screen. Then you can watch back on where people have dropped off and you can see where they stopped. But most of the time, it's the shipping.
So is it then better to build your shipping costs into the actual price and just have free shipping?
Yeah, that's a tactic I like to use, is to build the costs into it. Another really good one, if you actually can increase your sales, is if you order over X amount of dollars, it's free shipping. So then you might sell 2 or 3 items rather than the one.
Do you go back to people who have dropped out on a constant basis with a better offer?
That's actually one of the most effective ways to follow people up, is to use what's called an abandoned cart email sequence.
Right.
Now, of course, you do need the email address first, which is why you'll find when you make your first purchase, there's generally an incentive to sign up to be a member to buy. So once someone's got your email address, then there's plugins, especially if you're using something like Shopify, which most people, a lot in e-com are using Shopify, then you can actually get plugins that will set up sequences that are very simply will take people right back to the pointy end of the purchase.
It's an art form, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it pays off.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Nick, good to see you. Thank you for that.
Thanks.
Well, that's it for today. Make sure you head to the website, kochiesbusinessbuilders.com.au, and sign up for the weekly newsletter, which has all sorts of great information and resources for running a successful business. We'll be back next week with another episode full of great stories and inspiring advice. See you then.